Spiritual Tips for Meditators. Part 2. By Propizan Vizalo. Means and Ends of Meditation. Since I would like you to take this opportunity to listen and learn from Luangpor Teean, I will not take much time. I will just speak a little bit to comply with his request. Later, you can request him to share more or answer your questions. I think what Luangpor Teean said is fundamental to the Buddhist teachings. He stresses mindfulness. It is very important to practice mindfulness, for it is the heart of Buddhist meditation. When speaking about meditation, we have to bear in mind that there are many kinds of meditation, both formal and informal. In fact, meditation is not an exotic method that has to be imported from the East. Meditation is what we have already experienced, what we have already practiced, whether we are aware of it or not. When you see nature, when you look quietly into yourself, when you reflect on your life, that is meditation. When you try to follow your breath with an expectation of calmness, that is meditation. Meditation can be practiced through drawing, painting, or music. So meditation is what we have already experienced to a certain extent. But, to make our meditation beneficial, fruitful, and worthy of our attempts and the time we spend, the shortest way, according to Buddhism, is to cultivate mindfulness. That is, meditation with awareness. Awareness is the means and end of meditation, and nothing else. For some people, meditation is the way to calmness, but for the Buddha, calmness should only be the byproduct of meditation. It is the reward that we gain from our practice. Yet, we also want to have total self-awareness. Self-awareness, or knowing oneself, is very important, as Luangpor mentioned earlier. According to the Buddha, to know oneself is to liberate our minds from suffering. We are overcome by grief or sorrow and suffer because we are not aware of ourselves. If we become aware, we can see clearly that we are carried away by greed, by anger, by anxiety. Once we become aware of ourselves, mindfulness is established. Once mindfulness is established, it is not easy for sorrow, anger, ill will, or greed to sneak into our minds. Guarding our minds with mindfulness is the secret of removing suffering. Normally, we are not aware of this truth, but if you reflect on yourself, you will realize that the best way to clear your mind from suffering is to make your mind neutral, to maintain your mind in the middle. If we let our minds be subject to feelings of being pleased or displeased, like or dislike, rejection or attachment, our minds will never experience calmness or clarity. With mindfulness, calmness and clarity are possible. So with the formal practice of the Buddha, we can learn how to cultivate mindfulness, enabling us to be free from being all sorts of fire. The Buddha speaks about fire. There are three kinds of fire that burn us at every moment, every day, every hour, every minute: the fire of greed, the fire of hatred, and the fire of ignorance. The fire of greed or the fire of desire, be it sensual desire or desire for becoming, always burns our mind and that make us feel as thought we are lacking. It is quite strange that the sense of lacking is prevalent in Western societies. Despite the material richness, despite the abundance, people are overwhelmed by the sense of lack. They may have a lot of things in their houses, they may have a lot of money in their bank accounts, they may have success in their careers, but people still feel that they lack something. That is why they try to gain more and more, consciously or unconsciously. Mindfulness is very effective at stimulating the knowing element in our minds, the conscious element in our minds. It not only helps us to be awake but also brings calmness, which leads to clarity. And once our minds become clear, insight into the nature of mind is possible. That is why mindfulness is very important. June 8, 1997. The art of meditation. You may have noticed the relationship between body and mind during your practice. They affect each other and we should make the best of them for our practice. You may have observed that when you are upset or mentally tense, your breath may become shallow or you may have chest or leg pain. If you understand this relationship, you can learn how to relax your mind by controlling certain parts of your body. For example, breathing deeply can help you relax. If you want to gain or to attain a desirable of mind, you cannot force the mind directly, but you can condition it by making your body more conducive to the state of mind. The mind is uncontrollable, but it can be conditioned indirectly, by either the body or external surroundings. For example, if you are in this room, you may feel drowsy, but if you go outside, you are refreshed because of the open air, the open space. The drowsiness disappears. That is the relationship between external surroundings and the mind. Use this knowledge of the relationship to the benefit of your mind. If you sit upright during sitting meditation, for example, it is easier for the mind to collect, to concentrate, and to be calm, but if you lean against a wall, you may be sleeping. If you feel very tense, lying down will be helpful, but if you feel normal, lying down will make you sleepy. This is the relationship between body and mind. Please learn how to take advantage of this relationship to improve your practice. During walking meditation, for example, if you feel distracted or your mind becomes busy and wanders without end, walking more slowly can slow your mind. Your mind will be less distracted. The speed of your walk can affect your mind. If you feel tense because of your inward attitude, your mind turns to look inward, stopping the thinking process. In this case, walking faster can help to release the tension. The position of your head also affects your mind. As I told you a few days ago, if you lower your head too much, tension tends to arise because your mind is turning inward. But, if you walk and have an indefinite gaze outward, your mind wanders easily and can be easily distracted. So, positioning your head appropriately will moderate your mind. You have to find the speed that is appropriate for you, not too fast, not too slow. This is an art. Meditation becomes an art because you have to find the balance on your own. If you walk too slowly, your mind becomes tense because it looks inward and concentrate too much on the body and on the thinking process, so you have to speed up. There are two extremes. One is to wander a lot distractedly, and the other extreme is to take it very seriously, to push oneself very hard, trying to stop or to suppress the thought. The one just follows the thoughts, the other wants to stop the thoughts. These are the two extremes. In this practice, we neither stop nor follow the thoughts. But how? This is the point of balance. I myself have to adapt. When I feel tense in my legs, I walk slowly. If I walk any faster, I cannot get through the 7 days retreat. Normally, I do not practice the intensive retreat for the whole week, just for a whole day. The rest of the week I do it indirectly and then I may do something else. But to practice 7 days, we have to learn how to do it without being exhausted. It is like marathon walking. If you push yourself very hard at the first kilometer or on the first day, the rest of the days will be disastrous. You have to know how to save your energy so you can go through the whole retreat or marathon. There is no one standard or formula for everybody. You have to find your own way. If you feel tense, it is better for you to look far to relax. When I first practiced, I looked inward so much during the first 3 weeks that I developed a lot of problems. I could not raise my hands or sleep because I tried to suppress my thoughts. I had to cure myself. To turn my mind outward, I had to look at a specific point, during my walking meditation for almost 3 weeks before I felt better. I think for me to look forward, to look far, is good in that situation, but after that I have never used the method again. Now I just look down on the floor but not too much. Luangpor just said, feel relaxed, and just be aware, but I did not know how to apply his teaching to my situation. I think what Luangpor said about the balance is very important. To be aware is to be on the middle ground between following your thoughts and suppressing them. I like to compare awareness to an egg. If you hold an egg tightly, it will break, but if you do not hold it, it will fall. So, you need to hold the egg firmly but not too tightly. For awareness to be possible, you have to handle gently, as if you are holding an egg. If you force your mind to concentrate, to stop thinking, to achieve something better, or whatever, you are going to crush the egg. But if you feel completely relaxed and do not take it seriously, it is like dropping the egg. So, in this method of practice, just hold your mind gently. It is how to do this that is the problem. Nobody can tell you. You have to know how to gauge and how to adapt your mind. It is like riding a bicycle, you have to hold your body in balance. If you are stiff, holding the handles of the bicycle very tightly, your whole body becomes tense and you will fall. So, bicycle riding is the art of keeping your body as well as your mind in balance. The same goes for meditating. You have to hold your mind in balance, neither too relaxed nor too tense. How to reach this point is the art of the meditator, and this is the problem. When I first practiced, I found it difficult to reach this point because normally we tend to be at one of the extremes, either forcing ourselves or just letting things loose. For the practitioner to arrive this point, one needs to have experience with oneself and learn by oneself. If you arrive this way and know what the middle ground is between the two extremes, you will find it easy to practice without tension. You will be able to work the whole day without a problem. At the same time, you will be able to effectively handle undesirable thoughts. Previously, when we had distracted thoughts or a scattered mind, we responded to in one of two ways, either following it or suppressing it. But if we know the middle way, we will find that just acknowledging our mental condition, just noticing the thought that arises, it will disappear or fade away, without our having to make an attempt to suppress it. In order to reach this point, our attitude is very important. If we want to achieve calmness, to develop mindfulness, or to gain something, we tend to suppress our thoughts. We do not want to be distracted, so we try by all means to stop distractions, thus bringing ourselves lots of problems, mentally and physically. So, just take it easy. Attitude is very important. To take it easy does not mean that you do not make any effort, but rather, practicing the whole day and making lots of attempts. The point is how to make such attempts without having anything to gain. You came here and you must have been motivated by some expectations. But once you start working, once you start raising your hands, you have to ignore whatever brings you here. If you want something during your practice, that means your mind is in the future, not in the present. To practice here is to make our minds present here and now. Mindfulness is the presence of mind. To live your life mindfully means you have to make your mind present in everything you do. When you are watching, your mind is there. When you are walking, your mind is there. When you are taking a bath, your mind is there. That is mindfulness, or the presence of mind. You may wonder how to practice mindfulness while asleep. It depends on how you cultivate mindfulness when you are awake. If you are mindful most of the day, it will take care of itself during your sleep. You will learn that your dreams can be affected by mindfulness. Even consciousness plays a role in your dreams to a certain extent. They are not totally unconscious. They depend on the mindfulness that you have already developed. So, just take care during your waking hours, because it is the period of the day that we can control. It took me about a month to find the middle ground, but I am a bad example. Many people spend about a week to find it. For me, I feel that tension is the indicator of whether I am practicing right or wrong. If I am tense, it means I am practicing the wrong way. After 1 month, I was aware of my thoughts very quickly, which was a surprising experience for me. Sometimes, even now after being a monk for more than 10 years, I practice and I feel tense, which means I am too serious, so I know I have to relax my mind a little bit. I still get tense from time to time, not always at the balanced state, but at least I know how much I have to relax to reach the middle ground. It will be a point you are familiar with. You may get tense, but when you feel relaxed to a certain point, you will know that this is the middle ground for you. You have to find it yourself. Nobody can tell you where it is. There are many indicators for us to be sure whether we have developed enough awareness or not. Sometimes one has a lot of distractions. The mind can become busy, but if you acknowledge the thought very quickly and notice when it occurs, you are aware. Also, to be aware does not mean that you have to be calm. In some situations, the mind is supposed to perform its functions and it is difficult to be calm. As long as you notice that your mind is distracted, it is all right. That is why Luangpor said, do not try to be undistracted, but once you are distracted, you are aware. Once your mind goes out, you are aware. The point is your awareness of your state of mind and knowing it quickly. For a lot of people, meditation time is only the time when they sit cross-legged and close their eyes. Afterwards, they go to work, and cannot think of meditation. Meditation is limited to the room, in the morning and in the evening. But for us, the meditation zone means trying to make the whole day, or a certain period of the day, a time for meditation, even though you do not close your eyes and are still at work. It should start at a portion of the day, and then enlarge its zone. The more you are aware of every moment, the more meditation is a part of your daily life. It does not mean that only the time inside a meditation hall is meditation, and the rest is not. It should start from the meditation room and then enlarge to your whole life. Enlarge the zone in time first and then enlarge it in space as well. Try to integrate meditation into your daily activities. Try to use the movement of your body as meditation objects all the time, and try not to stay still. On the car or the bus, rub your fingers. Try to have some parts of your body moving and use the movement of your body. If you can use your breath as meditation object, you have a refined, sensitive mind. Yes, you can do that, too. Luangpor suggests using the blinking of your eyes or the swallowing of your saliva. Breathing is useful because you do it all the time, especially at night when lying in bed. But while typing, it may be difficult to be aware of your breath, so just be aware of the typing itself as the object of meditation. When you take a bath, the movement of your body is the object of meditation. So we are never short of an object of meditation, except when we are sleeping. That is the benefit of Sathi meditation, you have an object all the time. We need to have a physical object for meditation all the time, and our body is better. Your mind should be aware of your body's movement. Once a thought arises, your mind goes to the thought, acknowledges it, and then returns. So you have a home. Meditation provides you with a home that is the object of meditation and your mind stays with it. The movement of your body is the present moment. To be mindful is to be present in the present moment, so we try to provide a present moment for the mind, the body's movement. When you become distracted by a thought, that is the present moment too, so the mind should be mindful, but since the thought is undesirable, we just let it go and come back to another present moment, your body's movement. It is okay to shift awareness from one type of your body's movement to another frequently if you are skillful. If you are an adept practitioner, it is not difficult to shift. Try not to practice only two postures, because if you practice only walking and sitting, you may find it difficult when you want to be aware of additional activities. You will not be adept enough to apply mindfulness to that activity, because you have only been using rhythmic meditation and walking meditation all the time. So, you have to be adept, to be skillful, to apply mindfulness to every area of life. For example, in a normal situation, I would use the rubbing of my fingers as an object, but, if I am tired, I can concentrate on my breath because it will turn my attention away from the tiredness of my fingers. It is the same with walking. If I walk or climb up a mountain, at a certain point, I shift my awareness to the breath because my legs feel tired. This is the way to release tension. You can shift from one to another. In Thai, we called it a toy or hobby. We change from our routine to a hobby, and then we change back again. To make meditation more entertaining, we find something strange, something special, something new to play with, and then after we feel we have had enough, we return to the main posture. Please try to apply mindfulness to another postures or activities, not only in daily life but in the retreat too. When I practiced with Luangpor Teean, sometimes he asked me to clean the floor. He gave me a broom and asked me to be aware when I was doing that job. He wanted me to not stick to the two main postures. During the first few minutes, I felt disturbed, unable to be mindful of the work, because I had limited my activities to only two postures, and did not know how to apply mindfulness to that work. But later I knew. In Luangpor's retreat, he also likes people to stay with sitting and walking, but he will provide you with some work to do like cleaning the toilet, because he wants us to be skillful in every activity, otherwise you will not be able to apply it to other activities after the retreat. July 9, 1997. The middle ground. As you already know, we are training our mind to reach the middle ground, that is between the outward-oriented mind and the inward-oriented mind. Do not try to turn your mind too much outward or too much inward, to follow your thoughts or to stop them. The middle ground also means trying to avoid being lazy due to being too relaxed, or being strained due to too much tension. It also means that we have to avoid the two extremes of indulging in pleasure and indulging in pain. What does it mean by that, indulging in pain or indulging in pleasure? It means that when you recall a good memory or refreshing images you get high, and when you recall unpleasant feelings in the past, a bad memory, you get low. If you are moved like that, that means you are already indulging in pleasure or pain. If you are stuck in the pleasant feeling, that means you are indulging in pleasure, which is one extreme. If you get low or become angry, because of your thoughts about somebody that you have bad experiences with, you become dragged down by such thoughts or memories, or if you feel upset because of dissatisfaction with your practice, means that you are indulging in pain. So, to avoid these two extremes means try to keep your mind normal, stable, and unmoved by pleasant or unpleasant feelings, good or bad thoughts, good or bad mental experiences. So, you see that the term middle ground means balanced. It has a broad meaning. It means that you do not follow the thought or suppress the thought, turn your mind too much outward or too much inward, be lazy or push yourself too hard, or indulge in pleasure or in pain. It is the art of meditation to keep our minds in balance, to reach the middle ground. You may feel it is very difficult to attain this state of mind, even though you have come closer to it. Sometimes, you have already attained that balance, but you may be dissatisfied with it. You do not realize that you have already arrived at the middle ground, so you push yourself harder and go beyond that point, moving towards another extreme. Sometimes, your mind is too much inward so you try to relax, but you relax so much that you pass the state of balance, wasting a lot of time. Sometimes, you do not think this is the point that you need to attain. You think, oh, this is not the state of awareness because so many thoughts are still coming up, so I have to push myself harder. You are not satisfied with that state of mind simply because you have some expectation, so you keep passing the state of balanced mind without realizing that you have already experienced it. I think expectations are sometimes illusory. They are dangerous because they can deceive us, so we have to be very careful. We have some expectation about awareness, so we have already adjusted our mind to the expected state of awareness. Since we do not feel the calmness that we expected, and we feel thoughts still arising, we keep ignoring this state of balanced mind. I am sure that you have already experienced the state of awareness, the state of balanced mind, even though you may not realize it. So try again that you may find it and have confidence in it. Another point that I would like to mention is that, aside from keeping our mind in balance between the two extremes, we also need another art, the art of reconciling two opposing values. We face conflicts in our daily lives between freedom and discipline, between diligence and concentration. If you are too diligent, your mind becomes distracted, but if you concentrate too much, you tend to be lazy. The point is how to reconcile these two opposing values. Right and duty are another pair of values that we have to reconcile. Individualism and communalism are also two opposing values that we have to reconcile, or our lives will suffer. We also face the same dilemma in meditation practice. It may be even more difficult than what I have already mentioned. One is to take it easy but to try hard. Luangpor always stresses this: relax. Take it easy, but try hard. Take it easy but keep trying all day. It is quite contradictory, but you have to reconcile these two or you cannot make progress. Luangpor Teean always said, take it easy, but seriously. Luangpor Teean, unlike Luangpor Teean, would give you only a 5-minute talk. At his interview, which lasted less than 5 minutes, he kept saying we should take it easy but seriously, or take it easy but do it all day. I was quite confused then, but now I understand what he meant. I think this is the kind of training that is very useful for our daily lives, because it is the art of working happily and more effectively. To be happy and to be effective is a pair of values that may seem to oppose each other, but that can be reconciled. During the practice, you have to learn not to expect anything, to just work. If there is too much distraction, that is okay. If you suffer, that is okay. If you are frustrated, that is okay. You have to learn this attitude, because if you want to gain something, to attain calmness, to be aware of your thoughts as quickly as possible, you will be inclined to keep turning your mind inward, trying to suppress your thoughts. You will keep watching your thoughts all the time and end up ignoring the awareness of your body. Luangpor always emphasizes that we should grasp our awareness of the body, and ignore our thoughts first. But normally, in my experience, I seldom remembered this instruction. I tried to stop my thoughts, to suppress them, because I wanted to win. I did not have much time, so I wanted to attain the result as soon as possible, and I got stuck. After 3 weeks, I could not practice anymore. I could not do the hand postures because once I moved my hands, after only a few minutes, I got a headache and I suffered. With a headache and a lot of pain, I could not sleep. I made a vow to practice with Luangpor Teean for 1 month, and 3 weeks had already passed with only 1 week left. Feeling hopeless, I decided that I would leave the temple after I finished that week. So I just walked without any expectations, just waiting for my time to finish. I just kept walking because I could not do anything else. That week was very good for me because once I did not have any expectations, did not have any hopes, and just walked to waste the time, just trying to ease my tension to turn my mind from inward to outward, I felt that mindfulness suddenly developed a lot, because I did not mind anymore. June 11, 1997. Practice independently. The truth, I think, you have to see it. You have to see the truth for yourself. If I tell you, it will not be your truth, but an academic or indirect experience. I suggest you not use your intellect to find the truth but direct experience, you must realize it by yourself. Sati, or mindfulness, is a capacity of mind to recall. When you walk in meditation, you think about your work next month, the body walks but the mind goes somewhere else. Then, you recall that you are supposed to be mindful while walking. That is mindfulness. When your mind comes back to walk, you feel the sensation of walking and have clear comprehension. That is awareness. It is very important for us to try to experience awareness directly. It is also a capacity of the mind. One cannot experience awareness through thought or the intellect, for it is beyond the realm of intellect. You have to experience it directly with your feelings. We use a lot of thought, a lot of intellect, but rarely the faculty of feelings or awareness. When you want to touch something, you have to touch it with the hand, not the glove. Intellectualizing awareness is like touching something through gloves. It is not awareness, not a direct touching with your mind. I would like to recommend you to practice independently. Independent of what? First, be independent of time. When you walk or practice, do not worry about the time. Some practitioners set the time, saying they will walk or sit for 1 hour. Then they set the clock in front of them. This will make hell out of their practice because they are concerned about the time, whether they have completed the hour or not. Even with 30 minutes left, they still worry. They are anxious about when they will reach the hour. Do not worry about the time or the clock, practice without any references, allowing your mind to get in touch with mindfulness or awareness. Sometimes you are also concerned about other people. Why does this person walk so quickly? Why does she walk so slowly? If you keep asking and comparing yourself with other people, you will not be sure whether it is good for you to walk slowly or quickly. That is why you should practice independently, unconcerned with other people. You have to find your own way, the suitable speed or suitable pace for yourself. Everybody has his or her own way of practice. Please ignore what the other people do, just be concerned with yourself. Another thing that may cause you anxiety is the notion of awareness, or the concept of mindfulness. You have some idea about awareness or mindfulness. When your experience does not fit with that notion or idea, you feel unhappy, you feel uncertain, you feel unsure about the practice. Please forget whatever notions you may have about mindfulness or awareness, even words by the master, or the teachers. The master said that awareness is like this, and mindfulness is like that. You become attached to these words. When your experience does not fit with these words or ideas, you feel unhappy. When I first practiced, I was confused. Somebody said you have to be aware like this, but the other master said you have to be aware like that. I was bewildered. Which one is the real awareness? It is difficult to explain what awareness is like. You cannot convey awareness by words, but have to know it from your experiences. This is true even of color. When you see this robe, you know exactly what color it is, but to express it out loud people use different words. Somebody says this is yellow, but others claim it is orange. Different people use different expressions even for the same thing. Please ignore these references. The fourth thing to be independent of is the previous results that you may have obtained. Yesterday, you experienced calmness, you achieved wonderful practice, and then you want your practice right now to be the same. That is another kind of reference that you should avoid. If you have such references or if you are concerned with past results, you may be unhappy. They will never fit with one another. Ignore the results of the past and start again at the present moment. Practice independently, independent of previous results. It is already the past, let us ignore it. However good your experience was, be it calmness or tranquility, do not try to repeat it again or you will be disappointed. Why? Because you have some expectation, and expectation makes your mind out of balance. To practice like this, balance is crucial. You have to keep your mind in balance. Desire or expectation tends to push your mind out of balance. Therefore, forget whatever happened to you, even your expectations. Be careful with expectation. When you expect something, you have preconceived notions about it. If experience does not conform with that idea, you reject the experience. There is a story that is very instructive. An individual on a sinking boat prayed to God for help. Being very devout and sincere, he sincerely believed that God would help those who have faith in him. During his prayer, a lifeboat came by and asked him to join. He said, "No, I believe God will help me, because he never ignores those who have faith in him." So, the lifeboat left him behind. 1 hour later, the sea level was already at his chest. A fisher's boat came. He said, "No. God will help me." Another hour later, the sea level was already up to his neck. A patrol boat came. He replied again, no. So, he drowned and went to heaven because he was a good person. When he met God, he asked, God, why did you forsake me? I prayed for you even at the time of crisis. God replied, you fool. I sent 3 boats to help you. Why didn't you take the boat? The man expected a miracle. In reality, no miracles happen. God's action is not miracle, he works through ordinary events. So, with expectation, the person tried to reject even the help of God. Do not be too concerned with expectations, or you will reject the experience that you have already achieved. Just work independently of expectation, and try to get in touch with real awareness through direct experience. When you get a result, it will be the true outcome of your practice. Do not bother with miracles or preconceived expectations. Question: how can you forget everything and not have any expectations or references? Answer: it can be done through repetition. In the first hour it may not be easy to forget, but if you practice more and more, you will feel in harmony with the practice, and then this notion will pass away. Nevertheless, you have to do it repeatedly, over and over again. Then, a new kind of habit will develop, the habit of letting go and forgetting expectations. Question: that is very, very hard. Answer: it is possible, if you try to be at the present moment. I found that when I feel in harmony with the practice, I do not care about the rest. To be in harmony with the practice takes time, but it is possible. We call it, to be at the present moment. When you have developed that habit of being at the present moment, you will be less distracted by expectations, by time or schedules, by other people's practice. Question: are you suggesting that we totally ignore previous experience on how to get there? Answer: I suggest you do that when you start the practice. However, when you finish, you may review and think about which one is the way. During the practice, try to be at the present moment, otherwise, your previous results will distract you from the practice. Question: when we start the practice again, we will take reference of the previous experience, right? Then, how can you practice independently? Answer: a kind of habit will develop within you. Question: right, I see what you mean, inherit a habit from the previous practice instead of knowledge. Answer: yes. It has already happened to you, because all of you have been practicing for a long time. You have inherited some habits or some tendencies. That is the most important, more important than something in your mind. Question: not to be guided by thought, but by your natural movement or habit. Answer: yes. This is what we call adept or skillful, you become more skillful. Take swimming for example. Thinking, or recalling the instructions, does not help you much when you are swimming. You have to be at the very present moment. Whatever you do will become a tendency or habit in you. Once you know how to swim, it becomes your second nature. It becomes a part of you. No matter how much time has passed, maybe 10 years, you still know how to swim because it has become your nature. I think mindfulness or practice is like that. Once you know how to adapt your mind to be aware of the present moment, it becomes your nature. You may give up the practice for a while, then come back. In the beginning it is difficult, but after you practice for a few minutes, it will come back. Which I call habit. I myself, when I practice, never think much of the results. I think only that this will form a new habit. Once the habit has developed, it is easier to practice. This is how you train children to take a bath or to brush their teeth. At first, they refuse, but you just push them to brush their teeth. It becomes their nature and they will go to the bathroom to brush their teeth on their own. Mindfulness is like that. In the beginning, your mind follows the thoughts and never comes back. Then, you call it back. Second time, it goes again, following the thoughts and comes back. The third time, it comes back quickly, faster, but still takes a long time. Then, You call it back all the time, many times, it returns faster and faster. The unintentional thought will become shorter and shorter. In the beginning, it is like a train of thoughts with 12 cars of thoughts. After practicing for a few days, it becomes 10 cars. The train of thoughts becomes shorter, shorter, and shorter. Then, only one car of thoughts, because your mind becomes faster. It is the habit of the mind to come back faster. This is what mindfulness is. You need not to stop the thoughts. Your mind will come back on its own. July 8, 1997. Harmony within. Meditation practice is to train ourselves to be in harmony with ourselves, or to be in harmony with the present moment. To be in harmony with the present moment has a broad meaning. It means that we have to be content with what we have, with what we are doing, and also with what we are at the present moment. To go deeper than that, it means to be content, accepting the thoughts or emotions that we have at the present moment. To accept does not mean that you are lost, or follow the thoughts. That is not acceptance. Accepting means keeping our mind normal, not reaching to the thoughts whatever they may be. This is the only way to free our mind from all kinds of thoughts or emotions. Whether they are positive or negative thoughts, pleasant or unpleasant emotions, agreeable or disagreeable feelings, just observe them and learn to come to terms with them. People, in general, are likely to react to the thoughts or emotions that they have. To be precise, they are not reacting, but attached, or clinging, to the emotions or thoughts that arise, even unpleasant feelings. It may sound strange, but we do cling to unpleasant feelings or emotions. You may have noticed that when we experience anger, we never try to let it go. We keep recalling the incident that causes us anger, and keep reminding ourselves about the behavior of that person that upset us. We cling to that negative emotion or experience and never try to let go of it. We may want to, but we never try. We just cling to it, grasping the anger, the anxiety, or whatever. Thus we cannot sleep at night, because we keep thinking about this and that despite the fact that they are unpleasant feelings, emotions, events, or experiences. That is why I say we cling to it. We do not accept it the way it is, but cling to it. That is what the Buddha called indulging in pain or indulging in suffering. In the first sermon of the Buddha, he mentioned two extremes, indulging in pain and indulging in pleasure. Buddha advised us to avoid these two extremes. To indulge in pain does not mean that we torture ourselves as the Buddha did, when he tried to attain enlightenment through ascetic behavior. He refused food and slept on nails. That is indulging in pain, but all of us never do that. Still, we indulge in another kind of pain, mental pain. When anger arises, we are lost in anger. When anxiety arises, we are caught up in anxiety. We grasp it, grasping anger, clinging to anxiety. This is indulging in pain. We have already fallen into the extremes that the Buddha suggests we avoid. The same applies to indulging in pleasure. Normally, people think that to indulge in pleasure means indulging in sensual pleasure, like a playboy, to have new spouses, to enjoy themselves in the casinos, theaters, nightclubs, etc. Yet, you have already experienced indulging in pleasure mentally. When pleasant feelings arise in your mind, you cling to them and enjoy them, do you not? We are always caught up in the agreeable emotions and feel content with them. This is indulging in pleasure, another extreme that the Buddha instructed us to avoid. You may have realized that you have already indulged in those extremes during your practice. That is not the middle way that the Buddha suggests we traverse. The middle way, in this sense, means not losing yourself in either painful or pleasant experience, be it calmness, happiness, suffering, anger, or anxiety. Do not become lost in those feelings or emotions. Just accept them as they are. When pleasant feelings or good thoughts arise in your mind, you tend to follow it, do you not? When you encounter unpleasant feelings, you want to suppress them, do you not? But that is not an act of acceptance. To accept means to observe, to see, to recognize, and to let go of it. This is the only way to be free from all kinds of feelings or thoughts. I would like to urge you to learn how to come to terms with all kinds of thoughts and emotions that arise. You will find that once you accept them, once you observe them, they will gradually pass away. This is the best way to let go of them, the best way to liberate ourselves from them, the best way to get rid of them. Not to stop them, but to observe them, and they will gradually be dissolved. This is the middle way that the Buddha suggests, to indulge neither in pain nor in pleasure. Not only in the physical or sensual aspects, but also in the more delicate mental aspect. This is the aspect or level that people always fall into, without realizing that it is not the middle way the Buddha suggests. Is it clear to you? Just to elaborate what Luangpor said, to see, but not to identify with it. If you identify with it, you have already indulged in both pleasure and pain. Just see it as it really is, do not be overjoyed or upset by pleasant or unpleasant feelings. This will keep our minds stable. That is what we call accepting the way we are in the present moment, and being in harmony with the present moment. That's all for this morning. Thoughts always trick you or make a fool of you. They need your attention, as a child always asks for his mother's attention. They are very clever and have many tricks to fool you, to draw your attention. Persuading you, the thought says, come. Come talk with me. Come join me. Come interact with me. In the beginning, you may think that you know their tricks, but their tricks are endless. When I practice, I say to the thoughts, no, I will not interact with you. Whatever thoughts arise, I will turn my back on you. Yet, they have many new tricks to make a fool of me. Sometimes they ask, hey, why don't we think about the Dhamma? Investigating Dhamma is good, isn't it? So I jump into the thoughts, and later realize, oh, I fell into your trap again. That's all right. You should try to have strong will. Sometimes you have very beautiful and excellent ideas. You may think about the glorious past, a beautiful moment in the past, or somebody whom you would like to talk with. The thoughts will try to persuade you to interact with them, but you should have strong determination to resist their temptation. In the beginning, it may be difficult. With the support from mindfulness, with the strength of mindfulness, you will feel it increasingly easier to ignore the call or temptation of the thoughts. Later, you will find that it becomes your natural response because, after a period of practice, the temptations of the thoughts become less enticing and less powerful. Why do they become less powerful? Because the thoughts become shorter and shorter. In the beginning the thoughts are long, like a train of thoughts. Gradually, the thoughts become shorter, shorter and shorter. The shorter a thought is, the less powerful it is. That is why you will find it increasingly easier to turn your back on them, and accept them the way they are. Once a thought arises, do not bother with it. Just see it and say to yourself, that's the way it is. Whatever the thoughts or feelings arise, be they good or bad, wholesome or unwholesome, just see them without being disturbed or annoyed by them. Yet, in the beginning, you may feel upset with yourself, because you never realized that bad thoughts or evil ideas could arise in you. Some desire will come up, and you will have never realized that you could have such bad ideas, such evil thoughts. But, it will arise. If you are mindful enough, you will accept it. That's the way it is. Gradually the equanimity arises. So I suggest you maintain the attitude of acceptance. Whatever ideas, whatever thoughts, whatever emotions occur in your mind, just try to keep them normal and have no preferences, like or dislike, appreciation or aversion. Try to avoid these two extremes, and just accept them the way they are. This is the second mantra I would like to present to you, that's the way it is. The bad thoughts that arise, the evil ideas that arise, are beyond your control. So, just accept them as natural, as normal. That's the way it is. Thus develop the indiscriminative mind. The ordinary mind tends to be judgmental. It always judges, this is good, that is bad, this idea is good, that idea is bad, I like this idea, I do not like that idea, I am content with these emotions, I am not content with those emotions. With a discriminating mind you will never experience peacefulness. Your mind will go up and down, because of such preferences or such judgmental mind. The way to attain peace is to develop the indiscriminative mind. Have no preferences or judgment, and see everything as it really is. Accept it as the natural process that occurs to your mind. They are just visitors, coming and going. No matter how good or bad the idea is, any kind of idea, just let it come and go, appear and disappear. Do not be bothered with it. Just see it, take note of it, and then come back, returning your attention to the body's movement. In brief, try to resist the temptations of the thoughts. They need your attention because that's the only way they can sustain themselves. Unless you give them your attention, they cannot survive. They can exist only with your support. If you do not pay attention to them, they will just pass away. This is the best way to handle the emotions. Do not suppress them, stop thinking, nor force your mind to drop these thoughts. Just say to yourself, when the thoughts arise, that's the way it is. July 9, 1997. Calmness and insight. There are two words that Luangpor always mentions, mindfulness and awareness. Both are like twins. They are interchangeable, help each other, and always come together. Mindfulness is that which recalls. For example, you are moving your hands, but you forget that you are doing it because your mind is distracted. Then, you remember that you should be attentive to your hand movement. That capacity to recall is mindfulness. Mindfulness recalls and brings your mind back to the action of your hands. When your mind is attentive to your hands, or to any activity, you become aware of your body, aware of yourself. This is awareness. Once you are aware of any activity, you know what should be done as far as that activity is concerned. This is clear comprehension, another function of awareness. When you are aware of an object and attentive to it, your mind becomes increasingly collected and composed, thus enhancing concentration. Awareness also gives rise to and strengthens mindfulness. Sometimes, while you are supposed to be aware of your body's movement, your mind becomes distracted. Awareness of your body's movement sometimes helps your mind to recall that you must be mindful of your body, and that's why it can help to bring your mind back. It awakens mindfulness, bringing back the mind. For example, when you are listening to someone's speech, you rub your fingers. You may be distracted by the environment, by your worries or your concerns about something else. Suddenly, you feel the sensation of your fingers, and the sensation helps you to remember that you should be listening to the talk. So, mindfulness becomes function and brings your mind back to the talk, to be attentive to it. This is how awareness helps mindfulness to function, or take place. Mindfulness, awareness, and concentration are closely related. Mindfulness gives rise to awareness, awareness gives rise to concentration, and vice versa. They help each other, enhancing each other. Don't be confused when Luangpor sometimes mentions mindfulness, and a few moments later he mentions awareness or mindfulness and awareness. They are the same. Technically they are not the same, but in practice they work very closely together. Briefly speaking, mindfulness brings the mind back to the activity or meditation object. Once your mind is with the object, you have awareness, you know and you see clearly. With the functions of mindfulness and awareness as I mentioned, two things will occur. The first is calmness. It arises because you are not distracted by thoughts or by external stimulation. Your mind does not wander around because your mind is attentive to, or tied to, the meditation object. Thoughts may arise in your mind, but they are short and do not disturb you much. You may feel hot, you may feel cold, but it does not give rise to anger or upset you, because mindfulness brings you out of the anger or negative qualities, and back to the object of meditation. But, if you do not have an object of meditation, your mind can easily be caught in the anger, that is the result of unpleasant feelings. So, mindfulness and awareness help you to let go or be free from the discontentment. That is why calmness and relaxation are possible for the one who has mindfulness. The second thing that happens when you have mindfulness is wisdom, or clarity of mind. It happens because mindfulness and awareness keep your mind from liking or disliking, from being up or down, from being content or discontent. They keep your mind stable and without bias. If you have preferences, if you are discriminative and like or dislike, you have bias and you cannot see things clearly as they really are. This will not be the case if you have mindfulness. For example, when anger arises, you will not be caught up in it, you will distance yourself from it and see the anger. You do not reject anger, but just see it. You can see how it exists and how it passes away. But, if you get into the anger, you cannot see, and you cannot know the anger. Just as when you are in this hall, you cannot see what this hall looks like, unless you go outside, only then can you see what the Kuan Yin hall looks like. You have to be outside so that you can see clearly what or where it is. How can you be outside the anger if you do not have mindfulness? Mindfulness helps you to be outside the thought and see it as really is. That is why Luangpor always emphasizes that, you have to see. You should know. You should not be lost in any kind of thoughts, be they good or bad, of pleasure or pain, so that you can see and know. Truth will reveal itself. In short, as I mentioned, there are two kinds of results that will take place, calmness and insight, or wisdom. Yet, you should bear in mind that calmness is not the primary aim of this meditation. The primary aim is insight. If you take calmness as the primary objective, it is easy for you to become lost in calmness, and then you cannot even see what it is. Just recognize that calmness is like this, when it manifests itself, and do not be overjoyed with it. Just see that that's the way it is, and then try to maintain your mind to see, to be clear, keep knowing, keep observing. That's all. This is just to make a brief distinction between mindfulness and awareness, and to highlight their main functions as well as how they work together. Practically, they have more functions than what I have just mentioned. July 10, 1997. The point of balance. As you may be aware, Luangpor tries to suggest that you not watch your mind or watch your body closely. There are some justifications for that. In our daily life we tend to do a few things at the same time. You should allow your mind to be aware of your whole body rather than only a particular part of it. Otherwise, you may make mistakes in your activities. For example, when I began my practice, one day, I finished my lunch and had to throw the leftovers into the waste basket. Since I did not know how to practice properly, I forced my mind to concentrate only on my feet, while I was walking to the waste basket. When I arrived at the basket, I threw the leftovers into the basket, and forgot that not only the leftovers but the fork and spoon were also thrown away. Why? Because I concentrated too much on my feet. I did not allow my mind to be aware of my whole body, to be aware of the act of holding the plate with the leftovers and the fork and spoon. If you force your mind to concentrate only on one part of your body, you limit your awareness to that part and forget the rest. There is another story of a practitioner, who wanted to concentrate on every act of her movement in detail. Before she went to the office she had to get dressed. She concentrated on her act of dressing very consciously and very intensely. When she took the shirt, she concentrated on it. While wearing the shirt, she also concentrated on every movement of the wearing. The same applied to putting on her trousers, her socks, and her shoes. When she went to work, it took more than an hour for her to realize that she forgot to zip her trousers. It's okay if you walk with too much concentration in a walking meditation, it's not much of a problem because you only have one act. Yet in reality, You have many acts at the same time. You walk and you hold something in your hands. When you drive a car, you have to look at the road, and control the steering and the speed with your hands and legs. These require your total awareness. Focusing your mind on only one particular part of your body, will cause problems. I have spoken only of the physical aspect or the aspect of the body activities so far. This principle also applies to the mental aspect. If you force your mind to watch your mind closely, you tend to block your thoughts. When there is no thought, you do not learn how to let go of it. You should allow thoughts to arise, so that you learn how to let go of the thoughts or emotions. If you block your mind, the thoughts cannot arise, and then you do not know how to let go of them when they do arise. It is important for you to keep your mind in balance, to not watch or concentrate too closely, nor to let it loose to all distractions. This will enable your mind to be aware of the mind, to be aware of the body, not only of your hands, but the whole of your body and also its surroundings.
May all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born. May all beings be at ease.